Hey friends, this is Marilyn from TarotClarity.com, and yesterday I unboxed the beautiful Bordoni deck by Marco Benedetti, and I like to follow up with videos using the decks that I showcase in readings. But before I do, I want to flip the camera and mention a few things about this beautiful deck. Okay, for one, I never really commented on how beautiful the profile of this deck is. And I don't even think that the color is showing up in the camera. In person, it's like the edges, like the edges of the deck, sorry. Oh gosh, it's just elegant. It's like a pale butter cream with warmth. It's not a cool yellow, it's a warm yellow, like with a kiss of pink or something. We have the F. Gutenberg stamp on the back. And I do want to, and then somebody has asked me, is it like the white background or is it a cream background? This is a white background that I have. Now, I think Marco did some magic with the color, and you'll see that in the pips if you go back and review the video I did. But we do on occasion see some stains, faint stains in the background, which, no, of course, no, I'm not picking any of them up. And it might be hard because of the quality of the camera. This might be a little bit due to the glue that was used. That's possible. I'm not sure. But you see here, there's like, there's a couple little marks. So there is a trace of what might have been on the original cards. Of course, here we have the authentication of the stamp, the tax stamp. So, and another thing I want to mention too, look at that. Oh my gosh. So you see, that there's a hint of, the wear and tear of the original deck. Another thing I want to mention is, and it's a good practice anyway, is to always wash your hands before you handle and mix any cards, because that's how they last long. I have cards that are over 50 years old. Now they show, they don't look maybe like they're brand new because I use them and I riffle shuffle, but they're clean, And with a deck like this that is so pristine, you want to make sure that you haven't eaten like Cheetos or anything, you know what I'm saying? And then come in and handle and mix the cards. You want to make sure your hands are nice and clean, because I think it will pick up, they're porous cards, right? This paper, it's porous. So you want to do that. Another thing I want to mention is I tend to treat my paper, my handmade paper cards, especially the Rivoltini, I tend to treat them gingerly. Now, I know Marco would argue and say that's the whole point of the Rivoltini, is to bring in, endurance to the edges. But I tend to baby them, and I do use my cards regularly. I'm a collector, but I'm also someone who uses cards that I really like. So, and I read, and I've told you before, I have a lot of faith in numbers, and, a lot of my tarot reading practices are based on numbers. But let me turn the camera over so you're not just looking at my hands. I like statistics. I'm terrible at math, but I like statistics. And I learned that to properly riffle shuffle a 52 card deck would be, I think, 7 times, like 7 times riffle shuffling a regular deck sufficiently clears the deck and gives you a really great order. But 78 cards is a bit more, right? So I hope my math is right, but I figured out that it must be about 10 and a half shuffles to 78 cards, which I just give it 11 because you can't do 10 and a half. So I do 11 shuffles, riffle shuffles, and then I do 21 overhand shuffles just for fun and games, because I like the number 11 and I like the number 21 for the deck. Now, with a deck like this, I'm not going to riffle shuffle it 11 times every time I want to use it. So I had to come up with something else, because obviously hand shuffling like this, get this, you'd have to overhand shuffle a 78 card deck 3,750 times to get the same accurate kind of shuffle that you would get with 11 riffles. So I'm not that nutty. I'm not going to sit here and, overhand shuffle 3,750 times. So I've come up with a way that I shuffle my metalli and that I shuffle this one too. And I'll flip the camera to show you. I don't know if it's great or not, or how thorough it is, but it seems to be working for me with my metalli. Let me show you. So what I do is I kind of go like one up, one over. So eventually the cards that are one on top of the other get separated from each other. And I do that a total of 7 times. So I go through the deck doing like this. And I do it 7 times, which is still tedious, which is why I don't do it more than 7 times. So I have done this to this deck before I came on camera, but I'm just showing you. So now it's like 8. And then of course I will like finish it off. I've already done it, so I'm not going to, you get the idea, right? So then what I do is I'll overhand shuffle it an additional 7 times. So 7 and 7 is how I do it. And then I come on camera and then I just do a handful so that you can see that I am not deliberately, conveniently having certain cards on top for the read or anything like that. I think it's important for, public tarot readers to show that, show their hand, show that they're not doing a fake shuffle or stage shuffle. Now, boy, I really, I don't want to soil this deck with the first reading being like something for redrum or for politics or anything like that. Somebody had asked me, and I will do it, Marion, I think it was Marion, to do a reading on how the Luigi Mangione trial will go. But I hate to use this deck for that, although, it's such a pretty deck, I just don't want to soil it with the first read being like that. But I don't want to soil it certainly with politics. But I have to come up with a good enough reason to use this deck that isn't one of those things. So give me a minute, I'll be right back. Okay. Here's another one that I'm good to do. I'm always losing something. The theme for my husband, since he's Air Force, is, Air Force blue and white for his birthday party. And so I purchased 100 balloons, blue and white and silver, some that have confetti, fancy kind of balloons. Well, for the life of me, I can't find them. So, of course, what I've done now is I had to replace them. So I had to go and buy a few more bags so that I have plenty. But I really would love to know where the heck those balloons are. I would really love to know. And you know what? I have a sneaking suspicion my husband might know, because a lot of times when I lose something, he'll go, "What's the matter with you? You're always losing something." And the last 2 things I've lost, what I didn't do readings for, but the last 2 things I lost ended up being things that he misplaced. That he saw them and put them in another spot and then didn't tell me and forgot all about it. So I just want to know, am I being gaslit? Because he's being awfully quiet. And I have a funny feeling he knows he's responsible for those balloons getting misplaced, but he was just encouraging me. "Oh, baby, you probably ought to buy new ones, So anyway, let's see. Oh, so what's the question? Well, the question I put to the universe is, where are those balloons? Or what can you tell me about what happened to them? And I'll do a signature spread on this, because I will just see the cards in action and we'll see how well my shuffling method worked. So we have the Queen of Batons. It's not usually me. I usually see myself as the Queen of Coins. But I can be feisty. So let's see, who's she looking at with a side glance? Ooh, the female. I always call the female empress the female. I always call the empress the female empress. I don't know why. Okay, so there's no other person in the house that's another woman in the household. So I think that the only woman in the household is me, and the only man in the household is him. 3 cups. Where is this deck of balloons? 6. Where might I find these balloons? 7. Okay, so there's an instance where I'm looking at this now to see also how well this method was for mixing up the cards. And truth be told, you can riffle shuffle and do all that the number of times required, and you could still get consecutive cards to show up, but you don't want too many because that would be an indicator that it wasn't well done. So we have 3 of swords. So far, with the exception of coins, we have each suit represented, and hopefully one of the last 3 cards will be a coin card. We have the bagatelle, and here we have a king. Would have to be my husband since he's the only male figure who lives in this house. I don't normally see him as the king of cups. He's like the king of swords usually, or maybe the king of coins. But I don't see him as, okay, and the last card, will it be a coin? No, it will not be. We have the female pope. So we have an indication that it was probably me because a woman figures largely in this, right? Now, my intuition tells me that the king over here might have had something to do with them because we have a card of tricks, right? A card of tricks. However, in this deck, like in the Soprafino, other Gutenberg decks, this is not classically, a trickster. I mean, maybe he'll shortchange you or something. I'm not saying he's an honest businessman, but, give him the benefit of the doubt. He's an artisan, and so he's a skilled craftsman, right? So he's not necessarily a trickster in this particular deck if you read the deck. So we're giving each other the side eye because we both think the other one is probably responsible for it. My intuition tells me he has something to do with it. I'm tempted to just take a little bit of the trickster and apply it to this card, although I don't know how fair that is since he's a craftsman or an artisan. But he is number 1 on the scale of importance, and so maybe there could be an element of dishonesty. Maybe he doesn't count the change rate or something, but that might be a stretch. Front and center of the core 9, we have 7 of batons. 7, suggesting to move on with it. I often will associate the numbers with chariot in, like the number 7 with the chariot in the context of the suit. So we have to move forward because this is a social event and we can't bicker and we can't worry and concern ourselves with where the balloon bag got. Just buy a new freaking balloon bag, another freaking bag of balloons. And I bought 3, so now we have 300 balloons, and I will make sure they don't get lost. And I'm so glad that, all these swords and batons showed up because look at how beautiful. Aren't they gorgeous? Gosh, they're just so beautiful. We have the play of tertiary colors, with the orange and the green. Oh man, just so beautiful. Just so beautiful. At any rate, yeah. So get on with it. Just pierce through. Forget about it. Forget about it, and then, just work in harmony with him. Forget about pointing fingers. It's just not worth it. And what's up here? Maybe it was me. Maybe it was me. Because the woman figures 3 times, and so maybe I had something to do with it. Even if I'm giving my husband the side eye and the side glance, it might not be justified, right? Because this is not rightfully a trickster card. So I might be giving him the side eye unjustifiably. And Again, another 3. The 3 and 3 fall on top of one another. They're not enemies to one another, but it's just a suggestion of move forward, get on with it, just forget about it. Curb your accusations. Just woman up and move forward. Now, I'm not going to do the quint cards for this because it's not that important a read, you know. But I think I have to eat humble crow with this one because he's probably innocent. Okay, let's see. I do want to mention, sadly, that there are now over 100 people confirmed deceased in Texas. And just terrible. When I have said in other videos that, you know, these red states don't want to pay their taxes, it's not that they don't pay taxes, but they pay very little taxes. Very, you know, they minimize. That's one of the attractions for living in a red state, is that you're not paying a lot of taxes. You know, they live better because they keep more of their money, but they're not investing in their schools, they're not investing in their infrastructures, and this is the kind of stuff that happens, you know. And that's what I want it to mean. It's not that they don't pay taxes, it's just that, for example, in South Carolina, a former friend of mine and I own a home that each of our homes are probably worth about the same amount of money. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not like taking it to the nickel or anything like that, but we both own nice homes. Her taxes, she was complaining that they went up to $900 for the year. Ours are $15,000. So there's a big difference. So when I say they don't pay taxes, I don't mean that they don't pay taxes, but they don't pay significant taxes. Now, Jersey taxes are high, and I mean, they're like among the highest in the country. I don't know if they are the highest, but they're among the highest. I mean, Hawaii, they high taxes. But, you know, sometimes you get what you pay for. You know, you get really good schools. I'm not really sure about Hawaiian taxes, to be honest. I'm not really sure. But you get better schools, you know, and the higher taxed states tend to be blue. So, just food for thought. Shall we do one more read? Let's do one more read. This deck is so pretty. I do not want to, I want to do a couple reads with it. I just realized I didn't answer the question. I think I asked where the balloons got to, and what the answer was is that it was me. It was me, and I was unfair to give him the side eye and to just get on with it and not concern myself with it, which, okay, that's fair. But I really want to know what became of them, because I tend to look for things until I just give in. So I'll throw 3 cards just to see what became of what became of that bag of balloons. You know, just if they look like they got thrown out, I'll stop looking. Okie doke. So where are those stupid balloons? And I did do the overhand thing that I showed you, back and forth, back and forth. I did that 7 times. I've already riffle shuffled 7, so this is in addition to all that. Where are those balloons? 3 of coins. Where could they be? Look how beautiful that is, my gosh. See, and in this card, you can see the hints of, like, maybe, you know, the markings or the dirt or the things that appeared on the original card. So we have 3 of coins. Hanging. 3 coins. I mean, somebody might say those look like dishes or plates. It's not likely that I would have put them in the kitchen. It's really not. Hanging. If I look at this as context clues for where it might be. Hanging, where would it be? Oh, so it has something to do with me. So where did I put them? 3 and 12 is 15. Oh, the devil. Oy. So where would I have put them? Where on earth did I put those balloons? Hanging. I have to think about this for a minute. So the suggestion I'm getting is that I put them someplace. I'm wondering if I put them under something that hangs. Now we have it's not a chandelier. We don't really have a chandelier, but we have a large light hanging over our dining room. It's not really a chandelier, but it's 3 fixtures that are hanging. Oh, wow, 3 lights that are hanging. Yeah, there are 3 of them. They're hanging over the table, so 3 things hanging. And this could be like reference to the dining room, I guess, and it looks like I'm the one who put it there. So maybe it's somewhere in the dining room, which is where we've been doing, like when we've been creating the posters, and we're blowing up practice balloons to see how hard it is, because we have this huge arch that we bought that we're trying to fill with balloons and stuff like that. So it could be where I'm being creative. So maybe it's in the dining room somewhere, which is where we're doing the work, because it's got a nice big dining room table. Now, as far as this goes, you know what? I have a funny feeling. I might have had it in a box, excuse me, which we keep our boxes when they're about to get recycled before my husband takes them out to the garage. So I'm wondering if I was working on it in the dining room on the table. Maybe they were on a box I put on the table, and in error, the box got picked up and, put out with recycling. And maybe my husband didn't notice that there was something in it. Here I'm kind of blaming him again, but it might have been an honest mistake. Although this devil kind of looks devilish, doesn't it? I mean, the devil is devilish. I'm kind of thrown by what the devil suggests. This makes sense to me, what I just said about all that. Well, the devilishness might be that I'm like accusing him, of doing something he ought not to have, when it might have been my own careless error. What do you guys think? All right, friends, that's long enough. It's 22 minutes. Until next time, friends, peace. Stay well. Be kind. And I have it on good authority that, hold on, as the rest of you who have supported the Matronua tarot deck by Valentine De Luca, it should be coming soon. It should be. So keep abreast of your emails from Valentina. And as soon as I get it, I'll showcase it. And also, I'm getting a deck from Sebastian, who gifted me with a deck. I mentioned it to you. It's a fun deck. It's fun. So it's, I'm happy to receive a fun deck, as I'm happy to receive this deck, which is cheerful, because I think, we have to put our heads in positive spaces. My head in particular has been in dark places because I'm so worried and I'm so concerned and I'm so preoccupied by what is happening. And, tarot decks can be a great diversion. And like I mentioned, I don't really want to soil certain decks. I don't want to break them in on, dark topics. I just kind of want to preserve some decks that just bring joy and to force me to think of lighthearted questions. Until next time, friends, peace. Stay well, be brave.